Okay, we're good, Dane.
Okay, well, welcome everybody, as usual. So I guess you might have seen all the materials I threw at you late last week, and we got the usual lineup, so a couple of new items. So I guess without ado, we can go on to the first item and get them out of the way, the minutes. And I do want to say thank you once again to Keith, who in his valiant efforts to keep up with the minute drafting has really been a big help. So maybe next time, Keith, you'll be given a break because Mike may have his new colleague on board.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
thank you, Keith. It's really been a big help. You know, Keith drafted them, Mike helped, and then, you know, proved, formatted, corrected, and everything within 2 days. It's a luxury. So if you had a chance to look at the minutes, any corrections or additions you see, anything needing clarification? There are a full 2 pages this time. Anything? All right. Hearing none, I guess I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
As is,
Second.
that's all right, Craig. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Keith. Okay, thank you. So all in favor of approving the minutes as noted? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
against? All right. Item number 1 taken care of. So, all right. Well, as usual, Mike's got plenty of colorful and multifaceted updates to give us. So, Mike, we'll turn it over to you and listen along and ask questions as fit.
There's some things around here. Okay. So here you can see the financials. We've got some good revenue for the month. 263,500 is projected. Actual was 277,403. And then year to date, we had, let me move this screen here. We had actual 139 on Avgas and 426 on, or 428 rather on Jet. So we're looking very good for the year on our sales with a total of 745 on on the revenues for the year. Coming on down to the expenses, you can see our cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold are a little off for Avgas. We did buy a load, you can see up here at the end of the month, and that'll reflect in this month. And then Jet fell in line, you know, as it should. And then so we've got, let's see if there's anything outstanding. Not really. I mean, everything's pretty much normal for this month. That's hit in our expenses, and our expenses being 245 for the month, and then a total of 32,000 for the month as far as profit. And then over here we got 105, 106, closer to 106. That's going into the year, and so we're looking pretty good, you know, so far on our expenses and revenues. Any questions on that? Go on down to the gallons, and we see Avgas and Jet. You can see the trend here on Avgas. July and then August was down, but then September picks back up. Flight school's flying pretty good right now. We've got a couple of them that are flying pretty consistent. We've also got the Jet A that's looking very good. It's increased since our fiscal year. And then October's, you know, just going to be a tremendous month for us, I think. Operations, it's staying steady. It was down from July. We've got August and September pretty much neck and neck with 3,800. Of course, I see that being increased for sure this month as well. And then if we go to operations, you can see the graph. And again, we were neck to neck with August, September on that one. And then looking at the Jet A sales, we've got pretty similar on that for the 2 months of August, September, and then for avgas, an increase in avgas, which I like to see. And I know David will report on some of the activity that we've had here on the airport that's been a positive to us. And Craig too, he's involved in it as well. So we're glad to see the young folks flying and engaging themselves in a lot of the activities on the airport. Any questions on the financials?
Yeah, Mike, just not really a question, but just your thoughts. You mentioned the flight schools. Would you say there's sort of a pent-up demand, maybe some benefit with the flight school business for a while here, since the COVID may have kind of restricted student flying?
I do. I see that. I see a lot of people wanting to get out and start flying again, and also I guess this will be a good time to just bring this up. But David and I have been approached, by another flight school out of Peachtree City, Flight, and they're wanting to come here. They have brand new 172s, and they want to lease some land. They want to lease some office space rather in the commercial building, and so they notified me Friday, I think it was, and said they were wanting to do it. They want to go ahead and get things going here. So I did talk to the airport manager at Peachtree City. Actually, she called me on an unrelated thing, and I think I might have mentioned this last time, but she did mention, that they're a good company, doing real well on her airport, and that made me feel, real good. So I'm excited about having them. They got brand new 172s. I'll probably have 2 or 3 of them based here. One of them that I looked at only had 14 hours on it. So it's really going to be good. So I mean, if we get them, we've got David Clarke, who's a great instructor here. He's got Keith, one of his instructors that also instructs, and then we've got Athens, the flight school. So I mean, we've got a good, well-rounded opportunity of flight schools here on the airport, which I'm happy for, because flight schools, in my opinion, they're the heart of aviation. That's what gets people started, and then it also creates business on the airport. People want to buy airplanes, they want to rent airplanes, they hangar rentals. So it all it all evolves from that, and so I'm really excited to have those flight schools on the airport.
So, Mike, if they come,
Mhm.
what hangar space will they use?
They don't want hangar space right now. They're going to keep it outside, they said, for now, just tie down. But they are going to rent some space in the commercial terminal on a 30-day, month to month, because everybody in that commercial terminal knows and is on a month to month, because if an airline comes, they'll have to utilize that space. So everybody that we have in there and some of those offices in the commercial terminal know that that's just a month to month for them. But right now, that's their plan. But there is opportunity. We still have the Colvin hangar.
Yeah.
That what I've done, I was going to do an RFP on that. Gosh, it seems like a year ago or more even. And but then COVID came, and I didn't do it. And luckily I didn't, because we had an influx of a lot of aircraft that came in, and it's a Cirrus brand aircraft, like Cessna, Piper, Beechcraft. It's a Cirrus, and these aircraft, unfortunately, really don't fit into our hangars real well, our T hangars. They have about 3 inches on each wingtip, so it makes it really hairy for the pilots to try to put these aircraft in and out of those hangars. So I've let them rent, out of the Colvin hangar. But again, they're on a month to month, and they know that one day soon, which is coming up real soon, I'm going to have to do an RFP on that hangar. But until that time, I'm giving them, some opportunity to hangar them at least here for a while. But on the splosh, I'm trying to sell the T hangar.
Yeah.
10 10-unit T-hanger, and that's the reason why, because we've got people that are wanting T-hangers on this airport, and we just don't have it right now. So we need to build just as quick as we can to fill some of these up.
So if they were to give you that funding, you could build those new T-hangers big enough to fit these planes.
Yeah, most definitely.
So do you think that might materialize in time to put in the annual report, or could you see it go in the next year? Is that being too
Probably
optimistic?
next year. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about the T-hanger, right?
Well, no, there's new flight school.
Oh, the flight schools. Yes. I do see that. Yes, we can absolutely put those in the new annual report. Yep.
Make a note of that, Keith.
Yeah. More stuff for us to put in. Make us look good. But
That's
David, David and I met with them, and David can talk as well on it. But we were impressed with them. We met with the upper management, and I think they're going to be a great asset to the airport.
That's great. David, you want to add anything?
No, one of the things that I'd just like to point out, though, is that their attraction to Athens really stemmed off of getting people out of the airport. They were in attendance at the spring event that the aviation club threw, and they've now been to both of the last 2 months hot dog fly-ins that we've done. So, that it's working. The plan is working. Getting people out to the airport, it's a good thing.
That's great. That's worth noting. Yeah.
Okay.
Good show, Mike.
Thank you. So, moving on, got quite a bit to talk about on the capital improvement project updates. First of all, the localizer project. Let me look at my notes because I called our local resident inspector and got filled in on a lot of that. So we've got the localizer pad built. I'll just kind of start from the beginning. I've reported on some of this in the past. So we got the localizer pad built. The building where the localizer equipment will go in, that's placed. We've got the slopes grassed and matted. We're waiting on lumber right now to build the localizer array, which is the stand that this localizer antenna will sit on. And I got word just a little while ago, Chris and Jacob, I don't know if you know, but the delivery date for this will be early next week. And the contractor plans on starting to build a platform next week as well. And it may take 2 weeks to build. We're not quite sure. It all depends on weather, but at least there's progress there too. As far as runway 927, we've got the first phase finished. That was last month, and the second phase is between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3. They did pave that this last week, I think it was, or this week. Was it last week, Jacob? Chris? I think it was last week.
Yep.
And finished that up. And so we do have a water line, which I reported as well, that is kind of crossing right at Alpha 3, and that between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 is kind of right there. And we're finding out that what we're going to need to do, the water line is sitting on some rock, and they tried to take a jackhammer, a huge jackhammer machine, and bust up that rock because we need to lower that water line. And it looks like that rock is just so strong, we're probably going to have to blast a little bit. So we're kind of in the middle of that as well, but we can just kind of leave that alone for now, and we did, and we moved on to Alpha 3, and that's where we are now. So what Alpha 3 entails is right now, with the runway like this, it has a kind of a high exit ramp to it. It's not perpendicular. It kind of goes at an angle. So we're taking that out because the FAA doesn't like those type of exits or ramps anymore. So we are making it more of a straight, up and down from, kind of perpendicular to the runway as FAA requires. And so we are doing that right now. We milled up the old taxiway. We put in, we're putting rock down today on the new taxiway. Electrical's been out there. They're doing their thing, which is the lights and the signs in that area. And the reason we had to shut down this runway, we shut it down last Monday, and we planned on opening it back up Thursday. The reason we had to shut it down was because 250 feet from center line of that airport out is our safety area. And so we're doing all this work inside our safety area. So anytime you do work in the safety area, you got to shut down the runway because it's, they just don't want aircraft landing or taking off while you're in that area. So that was the necessity. That necessitated us having to shut it down and use 220. So with that said, 220 has been used exclusively. And of course, when we use 220, we get some complaints, from Cedar Creek, which is a neighborhood just south of us on the other side of Lexington. And we've had probably 5 complaints, I guess, about aircraft flying over those homes. But, we've been responding to them. Some of them have gone to the commissioner and mayor. But I have also advised the county manager and both assistants about it early on. So, but I really haven't heard anything back from them. Once I let them know that this is a possibility or it is going on. They've been okay with it, and we've been dealing with it. But so Alpha 3 is coming along very well, much faster than I anticipated. And because we're having rain, possible rain, probably so, on Thursday, they're really thinking they'll be able to get the paving done by tomorrow, by the end of the day. So if all works well, we'll have that done. Because our plan, even this morning, was, we knew that Thursday was going to be a bust. We'd probably have to, reopen it for Delta coming in on Friday and keep it open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday, and then close it back down Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. But if they can knock it out tomorrow, that'll be all the better. Then we won't have to worry about next week, and it'll just be done. Is that what you're hearing too, Chris?
Yeah, and also, luckily this has kind of fell within Georgia's bye week.
Yeah.
So, since College Game Day has made Athens a favorite spot this year, this has been good that we were able to do this work shutting down the main runway. Georgia's bye week. So,
which was perfect, wasn't it? Because we finished up, phase 2 over there at the water line, had to do something else. And it was just perfect timing to jump right over that water line and continue on to what we're doing now. So it worked out real good for them being off this week. But our goal was, in all these meetings, was to have it reopen on Friday by 3. Well, really Thursday evening, but Friday anyway, because that's when Delta's coming in to pick them up to go to Florida. So we knew we had that deadline to make, and we were hoping and praying there wasn't going to be any weather. We did have a little rain shower, like a 45-minute rain shower. That it was a hard one that came. I think it was last week, and but it really didn't do a whole lot of damage to our progress. They still marched on and was able to continue. I did have to reopen it for a 737 today that had to get in, and that was quite the challenge. That was all the way up to about 2 o'clock. I handled that all the way from morning to 2 because they were supposed to be here at 10, then 11, then 12, then 1. So we had to get all those folks. We had to shore up the runway to be safe, and then we had to get all the construction back past that 250 mark. But we got it in okay, so it was good. And that was a chamber event, so. There was like 50 folks from Missouri that came. And but anyway, so it all worked out. Let's see, 220. That's our secondary runway. We've been doing real well with 220. We've got the mayor and commission have approved the design for Holt to do. And I got word, I don't think Jacob and Chris know this yet, but I got word that from the attorney, I think it was yesterday, the day before, I guess it was yesterday, that she's good with it. She knows it's a rush because it has to be done quickly because we've got some grant expected very soon, grant money. But so they said they forwarded it on to the mayor. I got a call from the clerk of commission saying the mayor's out till Thursday, but she knew it was a rush. Would it be okay? And I said, yeah, Thursday'd be fine. You know, if you can just get that to me as soon as possible so I can get it back to Holt. So, so it is all good. I just got to get that signature this week. And then we can start on full design on that project. And let's see what else. I guess that's it. Oh, another thing was um, uh, the CIP that I share with all of you, you know, each year around November, which will probably be next month. Chris and I sat down and we looked at some of the projects that we want to keep on the CIP, and a lot of them, if you can't get them done, you just move them to the next year. But I did add a few of them. One was an ARF truck. We are in need of an ARF truck. Our fire truck is probably 20 years old, and I mean Alton, who's our new our firefighter, he's doing a great job and knows how to work on those trucks. And he was working on it today. I think there was a little hydraulic leak, but it's probably time for us to start looking at a new truck. And then there was just I think, was there another item? What were the other items? Do you know, Chris? The new ones we put down? It's no problem if you don't, because next month I'm going to report anyway to everybody and let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all the same items as last year as far as apron expansion, different.
Yeah.
things. We did talk about adding that holding area along Alpha.
Oh yeah, that's right. The holding area. Yeah. When we on Alpha, the project we're doing now, we had a small holding apron down at the end of the runway, and it was small. It could hold probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 small single engine airplanes. And what they use that for basically is if they taxi down, they get off on the hold apron and they do their run ups, you know, and all their pre-checks before takeoff and set their radios and that kind of thing. Well, a lot of the locals said, you know, we're going to miss that you know, that hold apron. And so I told them I'd try to incorporate another hold apron on that end because we already have a nice sized one on the other end of the runway. And this would be nice to have over here as well. But Chris and I kind of looked at it, and my idea was kind of like halfway in the middle of taxiway Alpha on, you know, on the end we're working on right now, and putting a little larger pad on there, something that, you know, a couple small jets could park on, something like that. So that was something we added to it as well that we saw might be a need. And you know, Chris, I got to tell you, I might be calling you because I thought of something else that I wanted to put on there, and it was something. I mean, it was something I really wanted to get on there, and I forgot what it was. So I'll think of it and I'll let you know. But yeah, but all those, I think those would be perfect for what we're trying to do in the future. But again, I'll get with everybody here and we'll go over that. Make sure you're good with it. I think that's all I had. Any questions on that one? As far as marketing and outreach, let's see. I don't think I did anything there. ClearPoint, nothing really to update there. In-person meetings. I've got a meeting. I'll have a meeting with Jeff, a department head meeting coming up, I think next week. I'll bring that up and see where we stand on a lot of those issues, trying to get us back in one room again. And I know all it's really going to take is just you know, them setting up, which it was going to be us and 2 other departments and it was going to probably be in the commercial terminal because if anybody else wanted to use it, it would be available for them too, you know, any other departments. Just setting up a camera system where they could do YouTubes and people could join, I guess, from their homes. Let's see, any questions? I believe that's all I had.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mike.
Mhm.
Lots of updates. Keith and I may need to come back to you about some of those details for the minutes, but
Okay, no problem.
lots
Sorry,
of
Keith.
one last time, Keith.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mike. Let's move on to some of the old business items that are small. There wasn't really much of an update on the Lexington Highway user group. We didn't meet this month. I think this is going to be a quiet period for us while they all get down to the real work. So Derek Doster just sent a note to us asking us to sort of, be ready to meet if needed, but they're working with the design engineer to develop surveying and schedules for each of those projects. So I'm expecting, at some point in due course, they're going to be coming to Mike asking for data and working, with you and the other project proposers for those projects. So that's about it on that. And the only other thing related to the Lexington Highway, you probably noticed as you drove by or you were stuck at the light that GDOT has actually started work on the interchange with the loop for renovating that Barnett Shoals, Lexington Road, Loop 10 interchange. So it's been a while coming, but they have started on that. Any questions about any of those? I think much of the focus now is, on background work. So we on that committee are just sitting tight, waiting for the next time we may or may not be needed, but they do keep us apprised. So next item, micropark installations. We're still waiting, but Mike, you can just maybe give a brief thought on that one, because we're poised really for installations at some point.
We did get the trash can and the dog station, and the picnic table in. We already had the bench, waiting on a rainy day, which Thursday sounds like a good day for our folks to put these things together. The bench is already done, but the picnic table needs to be put together, and the trash can and the dog station as well. And then at what point we're going to go ahead and prepare the area for the park. It'll be a small area, but again, it'll be really, really nice. And then put it out there. So I'm hoping by middle of November, third week of November, at least by next meeting, we'll have it all done. And I can take pictures and share them with you.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Next item, actually a gentleman by the name of Jeff Kuhn. He's a developer, Atlanta-based, but also they have Stratus properties. They have properties in Atlanta as well as along Lexington and Gaines School and elsewhere in the Athens area. And he sent me this article because actually Commissioner Carol Myers had connected him with me because he's very interested in the airport. One thing led to another. I invited him to come to the airport and we had a very nice meeting, he and Mike and me. And so from time to time, he sort of feeds us things just to keep his interest, alive and to let us know about his support. Not a bad thing to be on good terms with a property developer who's sympathetic to the airport's challenges and also wants to see the airport develop. So he sent this, and Mike agreed to just maybe as an FYI send it to you out of interest. And some of you might have already been there and seen it. Mike, you can maybe comment. I haven't been there. I think it's another one I'd like to visit. It looks like another interesting little park to think about as a model to maybe contemplate.
Yeah, most definitely. I haven't been to this one yet, but I do plan on taking some grandkids there and checking it out. Anytime they have things like this, I just love it. Diane and I, we went to Greenville, saw that one, and she went to a PDK, where their husband, and I was at PDK not too long ago with my wife. And we kind of walked that one. That's a little smaller one, but still, I mean, it's well known. Even for a small one, it's well known. People love it. They bring their kids there, and it's right there at the fence where people can watch the airplanes take off and land. So I mean, anytime you can get something like this, and it really doesn't have to be that big. I mean, PDK is a good example. You know, it's a great park, not very big, but it really gives a powerful punch. You know, so I don't know. I'm excited about doing something like this here.
Yeah. Actually, what interested me also is what they said in the article about the fact that they work with Kennesaw State on the educational components to put in this little park. I thought, yeah, that doesn't surprise me because Kennesaw's College of Education is very flexible and innovative, but it certainly is another lead to follow if we ever are able to pursue developing our own, you know, that if they can get with Kennesaw State, there's no reason why we can't get with University of Georgia College of Ed
Yeah,
in the science department.
and you can
So,
see this picture, right? I meant to ask you that.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
there.
okay. I just read the caption. It's the 1964 Beechcraft Musketeer. That's one that I fly. It's like that. It's a
Yes.
64 Beechcraft. But it's painted. I mean, it was in a little tornado several years ago, and so the guy painted it really nice. But it's a great airplane that we'll use. Okay. Well, let's see. I'll stop sharing that one.
Any comments or questions or thoughts on that from the rest of you? Maybe something that, you know, we can envisage down the road and see to plan on. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Mike, you up again.
Yeah.
Have an update on the hire, which
Yeah.
can't come soon enough.
Yeah, really. There's a lot of changes going on, so I'll mention that one and then a couple others as well.
Okay.
So first of all, as far as the airport business coordinator, that was Angela's position, and as you know, she's been gone a little while. So I did take my time, you know, in searching for that position. I ended up offering the position to a gentleman here in Athens, and his name is Davin Welter, and he starts November 15th. Right now, he's the executive director of the Family Promise of Athens. It's a nonprofit, and he helps the less fortunate families, you know, that are homeless. Real nice gentleman, real good with finances, real good with customer service, and social media as well. But he'll bring a lot to the airport, and I plan on kind of restructuring, I guess, our administrative side with me. You know, I deal a lot with the finances. I'm gonna give a portion of it, of course, not the whole thing, but a portion of it. And then one thing is, you know, that position also is heavily involved in the leases and making sure that they're all up to date. Some of them have consumer price index CPI increases, you know, once a year, every 5 years, and so all that has to be tended to, and so that's important as well. You know, be working with Jacob and Chris, you know, and some of the projects on the accounts payable side, making sure that they're paid and the contractors are paid and all of that. So I'm really excited about this position. There, of course, it's also over the charters and also over our customer service folks. So this will be something good. And Davin, you know, he loves what he does, always has. You know, as far as what he's doing now, but it's a big change for him. And he said he's just ready for a change, and he loves aviation, I think, and I always look for that as well because that makes a big difference. So again, I'm just excited, and I'll have him on. I'll have him on next month so you can meet him. Or if you want to come by, you know, please do and meet him. Um, and also, speaking of customer service, so Christina Morales, who is our customer service rep, she has been here a while, and she she works mostly Monday through Friday, from 8 to I think 2, and then on a part-time basis. And then, of course, you know, when we need her on the weekends for game day as well. But with that said, um, we promoted her to administrative assistant too. And And the reason we did that was because there was some things that the coordinator position was doing that we wanted to put on that position, and that included the daily inventory and the cash sales reports daily, all of that, and then also changing the fuel prices, checking fuel prices on different airports, so we can stay competitive. So there was a lot of administrative things that we wanted her to do. So we increased her pay a little bit, and then also the position. And then lastly, Chris Lewis, who is our maintenance technician, he's been here a long time, over 20 years. And he's going to be retiring, let's see, November 12th. So I posted his position last week, and will be, I think October 31st is the last day for applications. So once that date comes, I will look at those applications and set up some interviews, and probably with Russ Parton, my operations supervisor, and hopefully we'll get a good candidate, for that position as well. Good thing is, I mean, Chris has been here forever, and he is ARF qualified, and he also knows where every water line is, every inch of, you name it, asphalt, and anything out in the field, drain lines, everything. So, we hated for him to go 100%. So, and he did ask, can I work part-time? And I said, absolutely. So I'm working it out with HR to keep him on as a part-time as needed, mostly for our support, and then also during game days when we need the extra help. And in addition to if somebody's sick, or on vacation, we'll bring Chris in. And then also, to work with the new person, because this new person can't just come in and just know everything. So we want Chris to kind of take him and show him a little bit where everything is, and kind of help him or her out in that respect. So I'm excited to, continue to have Chris here and his knowledge, but I'm also excited, for him and his retirement. And so we've got quite a few positions that are changing, but it's all, it's positive. It's all very positive.
Sounds good. Continuity is good to keep Chris on.
Yeah.
Comments, questions, anything? Okay. Well, Robert, left you on as a regular ingredient on our agenda. If you have anything you've heard from the people at Clarke County or not, any updates?
I've just been staying in contact with Aaron and Soraya out there, making sure that they're aware that airport's still in business and waiting on them. So I haven't had any direct feedback from them. So I'm looking forward to, how should I say, feed them a little bit more information about the progress and things that are going on at the airport, so they have more information to then disseminate up through the Clarke County school system, and hopefully something will come from that as soon as those school kids start getting out in the community and visiting sites and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other thoughts for Robert on that program? Yeah, I think just keep on it. It may be a while yet, but they need to know we stay interested.
Correct.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Okay. Well, if we move on to new business, I guess behind the scenes, there's been work done on the annual report, and we'll continue working on that. Keith, if you want to share a few thoughts on the work you've been doing. I know you met with Mike, and the three of us have been beavering away at some things. I'll let you give an update.
Yeah, just kind of briefly, as Diane mentions, Diane and Mike and I have been working together on the annual report, getting all the nitty-gritty data together based on the kind of rough format that we went through last month. And Mike has a fair amount of pieces he's working on, along with some background photos and some maps. And Diane has started work with some formatting. And Diane, I didn't know if you wanted to, did you want to display? And yeah,
Yeah,
Diane, I'll let you take it. from here with this page, just before we start on that, our timing with the annual report is to try to have it pretty much all complete, and talking with Mike, there's no new official hard stop deadline when it's got to be turned in at this point anyway. So we're working to have it all complete to be able to present to you all at our next meeting in November. And then after that, we'll probably complete the printing process and so forth. So in production. But Diane, you want to share this page, which was one of our early pages to be in the document?
Yeah, Robert had given us the very important recommendation, which we totally agreed with, was that, ideally the annual report should have information, location information, like location map or maps, as well as information about its accessibility. And so, we took the lead from Robert's idea and went hunting. And so what I did here was share with you, which is not, a final version. It's simply, I wanted to see what we could get on one page, because in the interest of not having too many pages in the annual report, we initially wondered, well, could we deal with that item early on as agreed, but maybe just on half a page. But I think we probably will have to dedicate a page to it to make any sense. So, if you have any thoughts about it, any of these, you can maybe give me and Keith and Mike some feedback. If we start looking at the top right-hand corner of this page, you'll see the standard map of Athens-Clarke County with Athens in the middle. That's a map that we can use almost as is if we want to, if we agree to, because that's the accgov.com standard map of Athens in Clarke County. So it's public domain. We can use it and just cite the URL. The only thing I added to that was the little airplane symbol, so that you can see where it comes. Prior to that, if you wanted to use it, a standard thing to do, and we talked about this with you previously, would be to show the state, the outline map of the state like it is, and then highlight Clarke County, which in this case is in red, and then pull out from that the outline of Clarke County and where Athens is. So it would be the precursor to the map on the right-hand side. Now, that outline map, is standard. It doesn't need permissions. It doesn't need to be anywhere near as big as that. On some maps, you see that as, is much smaller than that. So if we were to need to, if you like, steal back some white space to use a single page to put some headings and other things, we could make a map like that one, the outline map of the state and the county outline, tiny compared to what they are now. One thing that Keith said he would like is, sometimes you'll see like a funnel or two lines drawn indicating from the state map to the county map. There would be like two lines drawn indicating, even if, you don't have that, people usually know, but it would indicate to those not used to maps. This is what that big red area is. It's the outline of the county in that outline map. So, I think at absolute minimum, we want to have the standard map of the county, and Athens with the main roads in it, and where the airport is relative to the loop and the roads in downtown Athens. Thirdly, in the bottom left-hand corner is an Esri map. That's a public domain map that comes from the Earth Satellite Resources Index, the federal agency, and you can do any number of wonderful things if you go to that data bank. This shows driving distances from the airport in all directions, and so it also actually is a little distorted because it follows the main roads, and it started out as a full page, but then I shrank it to this, and we could use it because the color coding is fairly clear to see that the tan is areas within 30 minutes drive, roughly, of the airport. The green is 45 minutes and the blue is 60 minutes. So, Mike, it's like you said, that's basically the catchment area for the airport as well, if you're talking about driving distances. Mm-hmm. So, it's entirely up to you guys. If you don't like the idea, you think that's useless, and Mike isn't really interested in having it in the report, we can dispense with it. If you think it's something that could be useful, we could even crop it a bit. to make it smaller. And then underneath it, we could have some of the information. That's not all of it, but we could put some information, again, like Robert suggested, about, well, how do you get to the airport? You know, what road do you take? How many miles is it? How much driving distance, etc. Because, like we've said, there are people who live in this county who don't even know where the airport is, never mind other people. So, and then fourthly, if again, there were agreement that it's something, you know, that we could use, and you notice there's a tiny outline map, which we could actually excise from that if we needed to. But that's the outline map of the airport itself, the airport, you know, not the outline of the property, but the actual runways and the buildings, the layout. And that comes from the GDOT report, so we could actually cite that with permission. So in a nutshell, you know, we really would like, you know, some thoughts from you guys about what you think might be useful to include. If you think all four of them we can juggle, we can reduce and, you know, buy back some space to make them fit with labels. If you think, you know, any of them is kind of redundant and not necessary, with everybody's agreement, we could just, you know, let that go. So I just wanted to get them to you on one page so you can see at most we could work with four little maps like this to meet that ingredients requirements. Thoughts, questions, recommendations? Any?
Could you show all four of them so I can see them? I'm only seeing.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
shrink it down for you here. Let's
Yeah.
see.
So all four on a standard 8.5 by 11 page right now. So you see it's a bit crowded, but I think, you know, you can take the state outline map and make that a fraction of that size and pull back a lot of space and rearrange them however, you know, it suits. It also depends what way in the annual report we're going to have the binding, you know, what orientation of the page there is.
I don't know how to say this, but I'm thinking particularly what is useful now is what is many times put into our cell phones to help us wayfind or whatever. So even within this, whichever one we choose, I want to say it should also incorporate, how should I say, Athens-Bennett's Airport or whatever, you know, the 1010, the actual location, I guess you could say, because people many times refer to their phones, and a lot of this would, in print, it is useful, but when we get on our phone, what do we normally do? And what do we use specifically? So
Yeah.
making sure we have the proper name, or however it is, whether you're using Google or Waze or whatever, if you're putting in Bennett's Airport and that address in there somewhere, it works well.
Well, then we should put the actual address. I mean, as far as I know, like you're saying, you know, if you go on any of those, you normally will put the address of the place.
Right.
You know,
some of them will pick it up or whatever when you put it in there, because I just did it in Waze and I just put Athens Airport and it had enough in there to put all that information in there. So just making sure we have that somewhere displayed accurately so they know exactly that it's Athens-Bennett's Airport, 1010 Bennett's Drive, Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, so that could go somewhere in the wording that we've got under accessibility or some of the labeling.
Yes.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Let me ask it in the other way. Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Keep on that train of thought, because I was going to swap directions. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I mean, turning the question the other way around, you know, yes or no? I mean, do you think it's worth having the outline map of the whole state with the breakout of the shape of the county? Or, you know, are we assuming that people know well enough where Clarke County is that we can take the space back and use it for something else? You know, it's pretty standard to do that. But we want to shrink it if we do it. We don't need to.
That could be solved with some graphic design, either, you know, just changing the layout, changing the look. Somebody that knows their way around Adobe Illustrator and what have you could easily have the whole background be the state of Georgia and blowing up, on a less opaque, then have subsets.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to call attention to the airport data. I would be hesitant to use anything outside of what the FAA publishes. I just notice elevation, or that may be from whatever point VDOT measures, but the FAA considers it 812. Things like that. Conflicting information, especially when it
Okay. Well, that kind of thing,
That is,
before it goes to the final draft of it, I think, yeah, we do want to be sure, and you can help proof things like that to make sure we're using the real information.
just don't use any information about the airport that isn't coming from an FAA source. I think is safe, because then it's all going to be, as far as runway lengths, as far as elevations, locations, etc. Pull it from the FAA. Don't pull it from us.
Yeah, because actually I found something in the GDOT report that contradicted what was in the FAA when I was putting the fact sheet together. I remember asking Mike about that. So,
Yeah,
what about the driving distance?
Nobody that flies and nobody that needs to know how long a runway is looking at a GDOT report.
Yeah.
So.
I almost wonder if that's even relevant for the audience this is intended for. I think that bottom right corner probably could almost be left out, considering the audience.
That's why, I think we need to decide that.
I'd agree with that too.
Because anybody who's a pilot isn't going to come here to get any of that data.
No, it is.
A lot of that is really pilot data.
So are you saying
if I was going to have anything in there, I would blow up the section where the buildings that people will interact with are, but nothing else, like the parking areas, the terminal, the flight center, those locations, and maybe the flight schools, the places that are accessible from the street, maybe blow that area up. But the rest of it is information that pilots get elsewhere, and it's mostly just pilot information.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what we needed from you, is to also help us make that kind of decision. Because if it's redundant, there's no point in having it, it's just cluttering up the page. Okay. What about the driving distances? I mean, that may be a yes or no, if you think it's not worth bothering with, or whether you think it is. Yeah. Keith, you were the one who actually initially pulled this down, and you were wondering about it, and we agreed to ask the group about it. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to offer, Keith?
Well, no, I think that I was just going with Robert's initial suggestion, and I remember Robert saying, have the location information and include some things that shows the convenience, how convenient the airport is to within the city of Athens, from the university or downtown to get to the airport, as well as also areas around. So it would be interesting to know if everyone feels that we need to have the map there in the bottom left that shows the distance to the airport from surrounding communities.
And see, I think that's where highlighting one distance that is a known, so to say, helps. But for the rest of it, I think everyone else would pull out their phone and pull that information from, just like pilots would pull that landing and all that information from somewhere else. Everybody else would just pull out their phone and say how far I am from Athens, and knowing that in general. But the landmark here in Athens, the arch, is something that people will say, yeah, proximity to that, 3.5 miles, that's not far, 9 minutes. That helps me with my approximation, knowing once I get to Athens how things are positioned around that. But the accessibility, which route and all of that, I don't know anybody who doesn't just pull out their phone and say Google or Waze, and that gets me there, and I follow that.
Yeah. I think again, you know, if one likes the image, one might justify using it, you know, on the basis of how it's labeled. People might only look at it out of interest rather than saying, well, this doesn't help me get to the airport. Let me reach for my phone and Google Maps.
Yes.
But oh, that's interesting. If Mike, you say that that is basically almost approximates the catchment area, you know, for people, then that kind of piece of information could be used to explain why, you know, the map is there, that it shows, you know, what's the market area for drivers who might be interested in driving to the airport to use it. So that's different to saying, how do I get there? Isn't it? You know. So Mike, tell us what you think about that map. If you saw that when you first saw it, that was your first thought. You said, yeah, that's kind of like our catchment area.
Yeah, and that one, I like that one. You know, we only have so much room in this. We don't want to have a lot of pages, like I mentioned before, because it's costly. We want to make sure that everything we put in there is pertinent to the majority of the readers. And I like the idea about the map on the top right. I like the little catchment area, you know, that shows the the driving times. I mean, that's interesting. I don't think we need, you know, the diagram of the airport. You know, they made some good points on that. And then also the one of the state, everybody pretty much knows pretty much where we are. That's just a big map that just takes up a lot of room too. But you know, I like Robert's idea. And as he was talking, I was thinking, you know, you could pull up Google. I mean, you could put it on the satellite page, or you could put it on, you know, the map side and just take a screenshot of it. And that would be a very good, also I have all the roads and everything. It's pretty much, I guess, what's on there right now, but
Yeah.
I like the one on the upper right, and the one on the bottom left.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Okay. Yeah, if we do the Google Maps thing or one of the others, we'd have to be sure that the directions don't shoot them down that airport road dead end.
Yeah. I know,
Okay,
and
well, see,
people
that
have
really
gone that
helps.
route.
Yeah, that really helps. I mean, and I think the only way to actually got to that point is to throw all of them at you, you know, and say, well, what do you think? You know.
Yeah.
So let's see, who are we missing? Grant, what do you think? Any thoughts on these?
I agree with Mike. I'm not necessarily sure that the diagram of the airport is needed.
Okay. Well, that saves some
and
effort anyway. And the same with.
Right. And then to piggyback off of Robert, I think if you have one landmark that says the airport is a distance from one place, that just gives everybody perspective and doesn't make it as crowded, because I think everybody's going to either plug it in the GPS or hit their phone, or whoever they're riding with will do it. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. I think that sounds good. So we could actually have two. We could have the driving distances. We could have the main standard map. And then we could have a third piece, which is, like you say, from one most famous landmark, something like the Arch, you know, which is also downtown, with the actual directions and information, like a screenshot. Yeah. Well, that makes it a lot easier. So I still think, Keith, that if we're looking even at that, we probably still are looking at a single, you know, a whole page. I don't think even then that we'd be able to, you know, use half a page. But I think we've accepted.
I agree. Yeah, I agree a lot. I think what we're looking at already with the proposed annual report design is a little bit shorter than last year's. I think that was brought up as input to not necessarily go so many pages. But yeah, I don't think we want to jam even the suggested amount here into, say, a half a page or something else.
Yeah. All right. Well, if we go with that and actually develop those ideas, that's a lot more information and clearer than we had last time. That would, you know, give people information about where the airport is, how accessible it is, how to get there, and leave out the features that pilots and other people would get somewhere, you know, in a more appropriate source for them. So that makes it much simpler. Thank you, everybody. I do appreciate that. Any other thoughts on the maps? Keith, was there anything else in terms of asking for more input on? I guess we're good to go on the next, what was
Yeah,
maybe deadline.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else at this point, right here, so.
Okay. All right, we'll just keep working, but thank you. That was really helpful input, I think. So, all right, well, changing gears slightly, we'll ask David to give us an update on the flying on the weekend.
Yeah,
Hey,
so the fly-in this past weekend was even better success than the first one. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend either. But I got a good report from the president of the aviation club. Just looking for her notes right now. They had, she ballparked at some point close to 100 people scattered about, and it's a ramp full of airplanes. They had so many planes that they couldn't park them all in front of the tower. They had to move them around to the other side of the field to get people in. I think they raised for the club $300 some odd dollars. There was that flight school, FLYT flight school. They were there again in attendance, and all in all, a success. One of our state senators happened to be at the event. He gave her his card. I spoke to him briefly yesterday, and he wanted to do whatever he could to help out our airport, and in any way possible. He sits on one of the transportation boards with the state, and we had a great meeting yesterday. All in all, it's things that are organic and grassroots, and they add together and they become bigger things. And this was super easy to put together. And they're taking it and running with it. We may have some issues with the scheduling of we have another one planned for the end of November. It's the fourth Saturday again in November, but that's a couple days after Thanksgiving, and it may be an issue with some of the staffing. So we might want to reach out to either EAA or CAPS and see if they want to take the helm on the next one, or authority if we're going to be there. If we can deal with not canceling it, I think that would be for the best. I don't know that UGA is going to have any students around. She's trying to work. The president's trying to work up who will be around and might be willing to come out here for the day. But super eager to start it back up in January and continue this on. I am on some of the Facebook groups. There's a Georgia Pilots Facebook group. We got reviews from all over the place. They made a little YouTube video that I just got it. I'll send that out to the email. All in all, this is what we want. Just real organic, easy growth. Hopefully, I don't know if Mike, you got any reports of gas sales for Saturday, but specifically Saturday, but that might be something worth comparing to see if it actually brought people in, what went on with the crew cars, if people explored town at all. These are ideas of things to capture some metrics on moving forward, but just getting people out here, that's the whole point. So I'm super pleased.
Sounds great. Yeah, I think it should be, but we are.
Yeah, I did get a report from the tower.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, I told her, I said, I'm so sorry, but I'm really glad they had a great weekend because,
right, yeah.
and I told her
somehow or another,
the tower
was not totally aware that we'd have some excess traffic. And
but I told them the dates that we had it and when it was scheduled, and it's, I mean, it's been out there. And I don't think it was put on our website, on our Facebook. I didn't see it anyway, and I had asked Jeff's, to put it on there, but because I just rely on them until I get, a replacement for Angela, but I don't think it went on there. But anyway, even without it, I think it was still a success.
Right, right.
What are they
yeah.
using to spread the word on that?
Social media, I believe.
Mostly just.
Do you know which vehicle they're using? Is it just Facebook or?
Mostly just Facebook groups, the various. So there's a Georgia Pilots group. There's an Atlanta area pilots group. There's a fly-ins in the Southeast group, and I've seen it posted in those various areas. I don't know if it's gone on to Social Flight.
I don't think it did. I didn't see it there.
Yeah.
Or at least I know I didn't see the first one.
Right. I'm
But
not
apparently
sure.
Social Flight's not the hot place to put it.
Right. Yeah. I think that's, well, you know as well as I do, their interface isn't quite as compelling as Facebook and the other social media sites. So, but yeah, so if Facebook works, it's the same flyer. It was one flyer that they made with all 3 dates on it, and they just reposted the same one over again and found some of their old posts, and because people had replied, I'm not going to be able to make it to this one, and so they replied, hey, we've got another one coming this weekend. So they did a good job in pushing for it. Thumbs up. Happy with it.
Sounds great. Good sign. So is there anything that we need to do in case you said that they may not be able to host one next time?
Yeah, she's going to be back with me in probably the next few days, week. They were sending out a poll to the membership to see who would be around. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so and with a lot of students probably coming from the Atlanta area and the Georgia Tech game going on, it may be poorly attended here. I don't know what my Thanksgiving holiday plans are quite yet. If I'm around, I'd be happy to man the grill. I'd like, part of, I think, an event like this success is
We lost you.
I think what he was about to say was continuity.
Thank you, Chris. Greg.
I would agree, continuity and consistency. So if you
exactly.
if you pick that fourth Saturday, stay with that fourth Saturday.
He's got to get his internet connection more consistent, more continuous.
We'll leave a blank in the notes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. That sounds great. It's just, if they can't host it, I guess then there's a decision about whether to reach out to one of those other groups.
Mm-hmm.
We lost you, David.
Hey, you're back.
What were you going to say?
I was talking, and then I was like, that's weird. Nobody's face has changed in a few seconds. And,
continuity, consistency.
Exactly.
Thank you, Greg.
So consistency is what makes, is what drives the success of something like this. So I'd like to try to figure out a way to keep the November one scheduled if at all possible. If we have to cancel it and pick that in January, I don't think that's really the end of the world. But
why don't we talk, David, about I can probably get some EAA guys to come out, and I'm like you. My wife hasn't yet told me what my Thanksgiving plans are, but if we're in town, then I'll definitely be there.
Super. Awesome. I think we could probably muster something up, especially if some of the EAA guys are interested. I think that'd be
I think
I'd like that to be a group. I don't want this to be thought of as a UGA only event. This is it would be nice to cycle through between UGA, EAA, CAPS, and whoever else to just let everybody get a piece of pie. There's no reason why the EAA can't raise $300 for them, and CAPS can't raise $300 for them, and so forth.
Oh, great, yeah.
Okay, well, keep us posted, all of you, on that, you know.
Yep.
I think that's great. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're at the stage of asking for standing committee updates, if any. Keith, I don't know beyond already what you've been working on, if you've got any updates.
No updates while we're working on the annual report right now.
I think that's enough to keep you out of trouble. Okay. Operating David, if you've got anything aside from this. Okay. I know.
I guess, well, I take that back. The state senator that I spoke to, he is interested in coming down to the airport at some point, meeting us, learning what the authority does and how he can help. So if there's any way that he can help with anything.
Is that Senator again?
It is Senator again.
I had lunch with him about maybe 3 weeks ago, because, you know, like you said, he's on that state committee. And he wanted to bend my ear a little bit about the airport and just aviation in general. And I know his daughter's involved also, you know, in aviation in a way.
Yeah, actually, I spoke to her as well. She beeped
Yes.
in while we were on the phone, and
Yeah, she's sweet. But yeah, I'm glad that they're interested. I know that, you know, we're trying to get more funding for other airports, you know, being affiliated with the associations in the state. I'm helping out too, trying to do that. But yeah, anything that they can do, and I'm glad he's involved, and I'm glad he's interested, because that's what it takes, you know, for all these other airports to get funding. They need to know what's out there, and, you know, the issues we have and that kind of thing. But
Well, I mean, what are you talking about there? Is this something that you would want to have a separate meeting for him to come? Is it something that you would want to invite him to an authority meeting, or what?
Maybe just you know, show him around the airport, I think is probably worthwhile. He seemed
I did
generally
that already.
interested.
Yeah, I did that already.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The ball is in his court right now to call
Okay.
me, and I'll find out from there what he's interested in.
Well,
Okay.
whatever the opportunity presents itself as, I think we should grab it. You know, it was like when that guy, Jeff Kuhn, approached me. I mean, I didn't know what he wanted to talk about. Then it turned out that he'd taken flying lessons at this airport, and, you know, was very interested in what happens at this airport, and, you know, is developing properties. It's an opportunity to get somebody on our side who's an interested stakeholder, you know. So let us know, you know, if it's something that you think we should invite into a special meeting or another look around, or you know, authority meeting in general. You know, I'm sure we're all available. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
He'd be a good one to have on our side.
Yeah. You know, the more the merrier with any people like that are stakeholders or holders of office.
He's a nice guy. I really like him too.
Yeah. Okay. I know under Air Service Development and Marketing, Grant, you might have some thoughts on that. And I know, Mike, you've got something that you can update us on as we move forward. Anything, Grant?
I think Mike has an update.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just was going to add that, you know, I have a meeting with American November 10th, and I don't know if I had the date set or not, but it's then. They did change the time. It's at 2 p.m. I think, and it's going to be a Zoom. You know, we're shooting for in person out in Dallas, but they were more interested in Zoom right now than face to face. So, but anyway, I'm just gonna advise you about that.
So they may let you know what they've found out, because they were actually doing a study, weren't they?
They said they were going to do a study last time I talked to them, and that was goodness, how long has it been? Several months now, but I'm sure they had completed that. And there are other airports as well, my understanding, that are talking to American, not in our area, but just that it seems to be time to start talking to these folks again, where before it was like they really didn't want to talk to you. They didn't really know which direction they were going. But I think that the tables are open now, and everybody's sitting down. So that's good. I think I mentioned one other time, that one of their plans was to open Columbus, and they did. And so that's action taken with American, of course. And they're going to Charlotte as well. And I was at a function, 3 weeks ago, I guess, and the airport manager from Columbus was there. So she and I talked a little bit about it, and she said it's been a success for them, Columbus to Charlotte. I feel confident it'll be a success for us, Athens to Charlotte. So I'm hoping that, our talks will be positive and, go from there.
I remember what Doug Blissett said about that, that it was almost like if Charlotte's or if Columbus is a success, it augurs well for you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's right. I forgot about that. I appreciate bringing that up because I did forget about that.
Yeah.
He said that. Yeah.
I also remember what he said about driving times and distances.
Yeah.
Hence Keith's Esri diagram, that it could boil down to that, So, well, we'll look forward to hearing about that maybe at the next meeting then. Hey, Mike, you have an update.
Can I bring something up? And I meant to do this during David's and operating. Planning, David, planning has always come to us, and we've had, in our ordinance, I guess it's our ordinance, our overlay, it shows a 1 acre, right? Shows 1 acre right now. They want to lower it to a half an acre, so it makes it a little bit easier. And they want to bring that to their planning folks November. So I was just going to call you up individually and just ask, since we're here and we're all together, how do you feel about the half acre? Were you okay with that? Then moving forward on that?
I like the idea of lowering it because I think a lot of the reasonable properties that we hem and haw about end up, the only reason the hauling exists is because of that 1 acre lot size minimum. As far as half an acre, I that seems like an arbitrary number still, and I'd like, and maybe it's not. Maybe there was some involved with why it's is it half because it's half of what it was? Is it half because that's the average lot size of what exists in the area? I just want some more data to back up why is it a half, because to move it from 1 to a half and then say, well, that's not good enough, it should really be 4/10 or a third or some other number. If we're gonna fix it, let's fix it. Let's not just band-aid it by picking a number half of what's existing.
Okay, that was a good question. I'll ask him. I'll call them up and ask them. Maybe we can have a conversation.
That would be my, I'm otherwise, off the bat, I think that's probably the right move. Thinking about the area, particularly, where we see a lot of the development west of the approach end of runway 9, is where we've been seeing all this development. Lot sizes are not certainly not an acre on the existing properties, and they're probably not a half acre either. So, I think being reasonable without the property developers ending up exploiting the airport in their developments is prudent.
So they didn't give any rationale at this point, Mike?
What they told me was that it would be more in line as to what they're looking at, on more often, and it would probably be more in line, would be more apt to be approved by us because that's what we would see more of, I guess. So, yeah,
And is that for a single family dwelling?
I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. All of these have to be single family. Basically, anything multifamily is an automatic denial without waivers. So it would have to be single family, minimum acreage per unit. Now, if you have the same 1 acre, this would obviously allow 2 units on it, or to subdivide that 1 acre lot into 2. half acre lots. What I just, I don't want there to be a situation like what I came into when I started doing this 4 or 5 years ago, where it had just changed to 1, and then they come through and they say, well, why aren't you allowing any of this? Why are you denying? Why are you denying? The same thing's going to happen at half. So let's pick a number that is actually the number, not, and that's the cutoff.
Yeah.
Period. If it doesn't meet it, then it's out of our hands. And if the mayor and commission want to approve it, then that's within their privy. But I don't like, just hearing the raw number of a half acre. I'm not sold that that's the answer to the
Well, I
problem.
want you to have the warm fuzzy about it. So let's do this. If you and Diane are okay, I'll set up a WebEx with you and Diane and then planning as well, which will be
Right.
great.
And
then we can
I don't
ask
want
those
to.
questions.
Yeah, I don't want to be hard to deal with from their perspective, but I also don't want them to say, I don't want the next one to come on that's 0.52 acres, and we say, nope, sorry, it's not half, and then they say, well, come on,
Yeah. Then we're back to where we are, right? I know.
We
Yeah.
start the cycle all over again.
Well,
So let's
grant
come.
a waiver, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's ridiculous, actually, between you and me and the gatepost, for a single family dwelling, an acre is a big piece of ground. And I
It's a
think
lot
you're
of
right,
ground.
David, if you look along Lexington Road, a lot of those are not each on an acre. So where did the acre, kind of come from in the first place? And if there's
Those are the questions that have to be answered before we pick a new
there's
number.
concerned for the need for affordable housing, having only one single family dwelling on a whole acre is kind of extravagant.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it might be a good opportunity, Mike, to say, can Brad or one of them come and talk with us and hash out all those questions, so we don't look like we're naysaying every time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to set up a WebEx because they want to try to get it in before our next meeting. So I'll set it up with you and David. We'll go from there. We communicate with the rest of the authority, make sure everybody's good with it.
Yeah.
We can kind of, we don't have to take a vote, but if we're good with it, they're going to go with it. And then we can just kind of follow it along,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me know, because I would like to be in that. And I think it's another way we can sort of look like we're putting that good foot forward, that we're not just saying no, that we actually want to learn about, what's the reasoning behind this?
I think that's
and what's the history behind it? Where did the 1 acre come from?
Yeah, I don't know about that. It was before my time, but I think this is a good idea. But I like what David's saying. Let's make sure it's not a Band-Aid and that it is going to cover the majority of what we're looking at,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll get a warm fuzzy on that.
Yeah. Let us know.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's quite a lot of new updates that were actually really important. If we change gears now for the last 2 items on the agenda, if I may, Keith had a little change in focus, if you like, for a second, and he asked for just a bit of time to share something with us as an FYI. And he's smiling because it's a smile-worthy account. Then we'll get to the housekeeping business, which is the very last item. So, Keith, let us have it about your update.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, my wife and I have done some 5Ks, whether we're walking or jogging over the years. And the Fernandina Beach on Amelia Island Municipal Airport had what they call Run the Runway 5K. This was a week and a half ago. And my wife and I, we were very interested in it, thought it'd be neat to go to. So we went to it, just stayed one night. And all I want to do is just to share with you guys, since it was an airport themed 5Ks, and 5Ks are pretty popular, and as far as attracting interest and all of that, just kind of describe what happened. So it was the event was out on the field of the airport. It actually started at like 6 a.m. Well, the run actually started at 7 a.m. It's still pretty dark down there. And I don't know if you can see this. It was interesting that there was actually can you see that? Not really. There was actually a rocket launch right before sunrise. No, that's too bad. You can't really see that. there was a rocket launch from Cape Kennedy just down the coast right before we actually started the 5K. And the 5K, kind of the ones that organized it kind of had a science theme. They posted pictures of planets and things like that along the runway, and it all kind of fit the aviation sort of style of it. So the route of the 5K was along one of the dead runways that's no longer used there. We went down a runway, came back, and then we went onto a side road off from the airport, and then backtracked back to that runway and then to the finish line. And it was all really neat. There was probably, I think, about 300 participants. They had some kind of snazzy classic cars and sports cars out there on display, as well as some vintage aircraft in the area. And it was all a neat experience. So just wanted to share that with everybody. I don't know if it's something that we would want to do at some point, not necessarily suggesting that, but it was an interesting experience. And again, the science theme that they kind of had with it sort of complemented it all, but people seem to be interested in it. It was actually the first annual one of these events. And the little badges that all of the participants got, ribbon with a badge. The badge had a propeller that would actually spin attached to it on the front. So anyway, just sharing. Anybody have any questions about it? Or?
So you actually ran?
Well, my wife tore a tendon in her foot not long before the race. And so she had to be in a wheelchair. So I actually pushed her in the wheelchair. We did pretty good time considering that, about 40 minutes. So that wasn't bad. So she got to ride. I pushed her, but we both got medals. But
good. So you're in the market for planning something like this here for next time.
Maybe something we want to consider as we're just thinking about different things that draws interest and awareness of the airport. So.
That's interesting. Yeah, we can't put on a show at Cape Kennedy down the road, but
right.
Maybe fireworks that night. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Keith. Any comments for Keith? Suggestions? Okay. Well, after that, unfortunately, I have to bring you down to earth for the last item, because we've got some housekeeping we need to do or some decisions. As you know, I asked you after our last meeting to give some thought if you were, we have a matter of an election according to the bylaws. In January, we're supposed to have an election every year for chair and also for vice chair, both of which have a term of 1 year. I did talk with Keith, who is our current hardworking and earnest vice chair, as you know, and Keith says he's not interested in standing for chair yet. He's not ready. I'll be happy to nominate Keith for another year of vice chair. There's then the question of chair, and so I haven't heard from anybody. If anybody is interested in standing for chair, I would need to ask you to be nominated, and I'm willing to stand for another year as chair, but if somebody else is interested, I'm quite happy to step aside and pass the work on to you. Or if if you're not happy with me, I will have to miss the January meeting to go to Kenya again. I'm happy to say I'm finally been given the go-ahead that I can do that. So I'll be flying off to Kenya, but be back in time for the February meeting. So first order is we have to have that election. We will need to have 2 nominations, one for vice chair, one for chair, and then a vote. The position of secretary is, according to the bylaws, the secretary is appointed by the chair of the authority, but it's actually just a gesture because the secretary is the new hire that Mike will be seeing come on, and that person is an ACC hire. So the appointment by the authority chair is just really symbolic. So the question is, who wants to stand for chair and who wants to stand for vice chair? Keith, you're willing to be nominated for vice chair. Is there anybody who would like to be nominated by someone else for the position of chair? Don't all rush at once now. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to stand on ceremony. If you want me to, if the agreement is that nobody else wants to, I'm willing to put my name forward, and I'll run for chair for another year and keep working hard for you. So I would need somebody to nominate me for that. Keith, keen, able, and willing Keith. Okay. Next question, I'm not finished yet, is if I'm not going to be here in January, we, as existing chair, we can't have the election in January. Last year, what we did, there was agreement that nobody wanted to meet in December, so we had the little election in the November meeting. So the related question is, do you want to meet in December, or do you want to meet for the last time this year in November? If you look at November, the 4th Tuesday of November is Thanksgiving week. And I'm not sure that's the best Tuesday to have a meeting. Most people hightail it out of town, or by then their wives have told them, or they've told their families what their plans are. So I'm not sure that the 23rd, it's the 23rd is a great day to have a meeting in Thanksgiving week. We could push it to the 30th. That's the very last day. Or Mike suggested we could have it on December 7th. So there's a decision there we need to make. It doesn't matter to me, except that I really do have reservations about Thanksgiving week, because I know everybody else tends to, be busy.
Would moving it to
Yes,
December
so
7
all
give
those
Mike
days.
enough time to have the reports ready?
Yeah, it would be, I would have the November
Oh,
report.
right.
But then when we meet in January, I'll have December and January.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me ask, also thinking of timing, the 7th versus the 30th, it's just a week, but as far as the annual report, we wanted to be able to give everybody a review of that. I don't know if that's the 7th is getting a little bit too late for that. Mike, if you have any thoughts, you know the deadline here, if that
Yeah.
really matters between those two dates.
Yeah, that's up to you. Yeah, I mean, I'm good either one of those weeks, the 30th or the 7th. I'm good either way. It's just some options for everybody else in case they had some scheduling issues.
Well, I mean, let's take it step by step. First of all, the 23rd. Or do we have an agreement that 23rd of November is just not a good day to have the meeting? Everybody's sort of nodding. Okay. So then it's either the 30th, or, Mike suggested December the 7th. If you don't want a meeting in December, on the 4th Tuesday of December is also going to be mixed up with Christmas and New Year's stuff. On December the 7th, it would sort of spread out the time a bit between meetings to give time for some of this work. So the options are the 30th of November or December the 7th. What are your feelings on those? Who's in favor of the 30th of November? That's after Thanksgiving and, for a little bit of time back to work before Christmas. Anybody? Don't all rush at once. Okay, hearing none. December the 7th. Keith, Grant, David, Diane, Craig, Robert, and Mike. You favor December the 7th.
I'm good. That'd be good.
Okay. Jacob, are you there? Any thoughts? Chris?
That works for me.
They're holding.
That works for me.
Okay. So shall we agree then on December the 7th?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that'll give us a bit more time to work more on the annual report and whatever other reporting. And, if we have a draft or anything in between, we can always think about, asking for your input on that. And then what we would then also do, if you agree to this, is that we would have the election on December the 7th. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Because remember that the standing committee assignments are actually appointments. They don't go to a vote until the slate is corrected or, updated, and then you vote on the slate or you vote on them as a group. And so it's really only for the chair and vice chair right now. So we'll plan, all right, with everybody's agreement then on December the 7th for the next meeting. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for that. I think that sounds like a good plan. And then you can all have a good time over Thanksgiving without being badgered. And Christmas. And you won't have to put up with me until mid-February after the December 7th meeting. Yeah. And, you know, just a word about me skipping off to Kenya. I'll do, if I'm elected chair for another year, I would do exactly what I did last year. And that is, you know, work hard with Mike and with all of you as appropriate, but have everything in place and ready so that the only thing Keith needs to do is actually run the meeting. We can make sure all the homework is done before I leave on the 20th of January. It'll be done. And I'll send you a note from Nairobi saying cheers before I head off into the bush. Okay. All right. Is there any other business? Anything we've forgotten? We've had a lot today. Anything else anybody wants to mention?
I was curious if, since, and this is something that's come up in my workplace, is the effects of Biden's executive order from September regarding the requirement for COVID vaccines for any organization to receive federal money. And I don't know how that's going to affect the airport.
Yeah, that's a good question. Not sure. I mean, we do accept federal money. Athens-Clarke County does. I know that you know, they do have a vaccine mandate, and if you don't get it right now, I believe if you're in the workplace, you just have to wear your mask, you know, and keep distance. But I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes.
Because I think Biden's threatening to withhold funds if you don't have 100% vaccination participation.
Yeah, as far as the airport goes, we let me think about that. We do have 100% right now. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh,
as far as the airport,
a non-issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we and that includes our part-timers as well that are part-time employed by Athens-Clarke County.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that doesn't apply to us because we're not salaried employees.
Yeah.
We're a different category.
Yeah. No, I am hiring some new folks, so you know, we'll see how that goes. But I don't, you know, I don't interview on those basis. I just want the best person, but you know, we'll see.
It is an interesting question in terms of, you know, a mandate like that, because we're not salaried, we're volunteers.
Yeah.
But that could be an interesting thing to throw at Kelly Gertz or Judd Drake.
Have you heard anything, Jacob or Chris, on that with other airports that get federal funding?
I have not, Mike, come across that so far.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
Well, if there's nothing else of business for the day, I can ask for a motion to adjourn. Keith. Okay. And second, Robert's Keene. Thank you. All in favor of adjourning? Thank you very much. And so next time we are going to meet, it's going to be December the 7th. And I'll try and adjust the badgering notices and reminders I send you appropriately, but that'll be the next time. So
By that time, I'll have a new person, so that'd be good.
yeah. So will you have him on as visiting, or will he already be, because will I be appointing him in the, you know,
yes, you can appoint him then. Yes, as a matter of fact, because he'll start November 15th. So yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I should come by and meet him in person. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then have him on board. So Keith, you won't have to take notes and minutes.
Yeah. I've got 5 pages of notes just to let y'all know here from this meeting. So you guys did a lot of work here today.
My agenda page looks like a dog's breakfast. They've got so many notes on it, I can't read it. So, yeah. I think I'd like to do that, Mike, though. So I'll touch base with you about that, you know, appropriate day after he's on board.
That'd
So,
be great. And I'll set up a
All
web for Dave and yourself, and we'll get that going too.
yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next time. Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.